Okay. Okay, so guess we're on.
Yes, we are on now. Okay.
I'm all ears.
Well, do we need to officially open the meeting or anything, or we just
I'm a,
Subcommittee, and I see that I see Roberta's here and I see Amanda's here.
okay?
How's that?
perfect.
Okay, sounds good. Uh, yeah, and after I sent all the information that I did on how I thought the law should be amended, my husband reminded me that really abandonment is probably should be on its way out. Um, there are a bunch of reasons why we think it's unconstitutional. And so I spent a bunch of this morning typing up something totally different from what I had before. Um, I know it's kind of short notice to spring this on people, but we've been complaining about abandonment for years and trying to get it repealed. And Maine Municipal Association does not want it repealed because they say it's been working good for decades, working well for decades, I should say, which it has been for towns because they get a free ride on the backs of the abutters who end up maintaining the road. So trying to repeal it is a daunting task. We'd have a lot of resistance to it, but it's something that we need to look at and think about anyway. I don't know how you want to dive into this at the moment.
Let me just open,
Here.
bear with me, I'm clicking through some things. Coming down to you here. Okay, so we just to make sure I'm on the right planet, because, you know, so this is, okay, county abandonment. So, and this is what you sent Sunday, and I know you just said you changed it, but so is this the one though where sorry, now I'm just trying to find you guys, because where the primary question was, but why people used to be able to go to the commissioners, then we changed that, or vice versa. That's this issue today, right?
Yeah, more or less. The issue was that the way the abandonment statute was rewritten a few years ago, it says that it's the power of towns and counties to abandon town ways.
Right. And
Counties can't abandon town ways. Towns can abandon town ways. And there doesn't seem to be anything in the rewritten statute that says that counties can abandon county ways. So my proposal is to take the county commissioners out of 3028A and have a separate statute in the county commissioners' powers that says that the county has like powers as towns have with regard to townways.
so thinking strategically and hearing the concerns of you and your husband, or hearing of understanding your concerns, I wonder if it's a two-step tackle where we first do that first change you've been thinking about and sent us literature on Sunday. Because if we don't want to come out of the gates with something that we know, for example, MMA is a non-starter on, right?
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah. Just trying to think strategically. I wish the county guy were here.
Yeah.
I mean, let me
we rearranged the meeting so he could be here because I figured he was critical since this is the county issue.
Something must have come up. I haven't heard from him. And like I said, I called his office and they said he wasn't in today. And I called his cell number that they gave me for official business. And,
hopefully everything is,
so hopefully everything's okay. I mean, stuff sometimes just comes up.
indeed it does.
So yeah, I know. So, sometimes you're not doing anything. The next day you're driving down somewhere. So
Right. Hopefully he's
that's the only thing I can think of. Something came up because I know that he had RSVP'd was coming.
Yeah.
So, and it was on his calendar, I think, because he uses the Outlook. So something must have come up. So hopefully everything's okay on his end.
Right. So what if we, Roberta, would it be okay if we looked at what you provided on Sunday as a starting point?
Yeah, we can start with that. And then if we have time, we can circle back to the other one, or if we don't have time, I can send it out to you guys.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Heather? Does that, I don't know if you
Yeah,
want.
I think however you guys want to solve it. I mean, I'm just here to mostly
Yeah.
record the meetings and provide any information you need or any research or anything like
Yeah.
that. So, you know,
Do you want to put it on the screen? Does one of you guys want to put it on the screen?
I can do that.
If that's all right.
Give me a minute.
Um,
Let's see. I don't have it up on my screen. Hang on. Got to go
no worries.
have it here someplace.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to, I don't know if I'm a sharer.
you should be able to share though. Everybody's enabled. So,
Let me see.
Here we go. I think I've got it.
You got it? Okay.
Okay, so now that's up on the screen, I should be able to go back to Zoom and go share screen. And there it is, share. Okay, yep, I think I got the right one. Can you read that all right?
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. So, all right, the power of the county has been included. Okay. So this should be pretty, just taking this issue, it should be pretty straightforward to peel that out and put it into the county statute, yeah?
Yeah, what I did was, if you look at the road statutes, what is it, Title 23, there's a whole section that's state law, there's a whole section that's county law, and there's a whole section that's local law.
Yeah.
And so what I did was in the county part, I went to the powers of the commissioners, and it already has paragraphs 1 and 2, and I
Yeah.
suggested just adding in paragraph 3. And I took the language from that from a similar situation where towns are given similar power to post roads during mud season, similar power to what the state has. So I took the language from that and just kind of, tweaked it to make it apply to this situation.
So
So
how, yep, sorry.
it says the county commissioners may determine a county way within the unorganized areas of their county to be abandoned under the same conditions and following the same procedure established in 23 MRS section 3028A for the development of roads and municipalities by the municipal officers.
Now, full disclosure, I have not done a lot of work for counties. I've done, years ago, I did Somerset County's charter, and I've done a few things here and there, but I don't know the county statutes the way I know the municipal statutes. And so I'm just wondering about the language where you say, within the unorganized areas of their county. When I hear unorganized, I think about okay, so because, okay, well, okay, right. So because if I'm a town in a county, then I get to do what I want. But if I'm, okay, so we're talking parts of counties that are like, what? Unorganized territories or blah, blah, blah. So will that terminology connect through to this, to other pieces of the county statute? So we know what that means. I'm sure it must. Again,
I think I'm using the right term here. This
okay, you probably are.
what I'm thinking is that they cannot abandon townways.
Of course, right,
So where there are organized townships.
right.
Back in 76, there was that law that said that all county ways in organized townships became townways.
Yeah,
So I'm figuring this covers the ones that are not in organized townships.
yep.
So
And
if
so,
that language needs to be tweaked somehow, that's fine. But
and Heather, can we just like flag that to make sure we're using the precise terminology that'll connect through? Does that?
Yeah, do you want to repeat it for me?
Yeah, so I was just wondering in where she talks about, and I'm sure she probably has it right. I'm talking about like she's not here, but where she refers to, I just lost it, unorganized.
Unorganized.
Where did it go? Within the unorganized areas. I just want to make sure we've used the precise terminology that'll connect through. And again, it probably is right, but I don't know my county statutes and
Do
stuff.
you want me to check with the law library for the state? Is that what you want me to do with
Normally,
that?
I mean, normally I would run this to the ground myself. Right now, I can't promise that I will.
Yeah.
I think,
And or I bet you faster than anything, probably Roberta can slap a few statutes in front of us and say, hey, ding-a-ling, here's where I'm getting this from. It's right.
Yeah.
Frankly,
I would think Tom would be the logical person to ask.
maybe, I don't.
I can send him an email after this and ask him. I mean, but I can just do the legislative law library and ask them what they have for the definition of unorganized areas and what does that, if there's a standard that defines it in the statutes to make sure.
Just, yeah, so I'm in 30A, part 1 is counties, charters, jails.
I'm thinking of Title 23, Section 3021.
All right, I just wanted to make sure there's nothing in 30A that's gonna mess us up though, and it doesn't look like it. Let's see. Main revised statutes.
I have definitions.
Okay,
Townway means an area or strip of land designated and held by a municipality for the passage and use of general public. All town or county ways not discontinued or abandoned before July 29th, 1976. And no, that's not what I was looking for.
that's okay. I'm pawing around for a second in the statutes here, since we don't have. Let's see. Regional charters, jails, municipalities. I wonder if counties are a funky little beast in Maine. Okay, parts, plantations, we don't want to, I don't care about that. Well, let's see, organization. Powers and duties. General provisions. The local highway law. Let's take a peek. Powers and duties, highways, bridges, landing streets. Miscellaneous.
I keep getting unorganized territory when I look on Westlaw.
Yeah.
So it's not a strict definition, but
Yeah.
everything that the courts are referring to is
Yeah.
unorganized. I see unorganized township, unorganized county. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
see unorganized. I mean, I guess, I guess is it,
And maybe
I guess I have to look it up because I think Aroostook is all an unorganized county. And I can't remember if where Tom is an unorganized county also. So I don't think there's just, I think if a county is organized.
right. I'm just looking.
But then, but I think maybe what we want to say is unorganized county, unorganized territory. I mean, that's what it looks like is the general. I don't see unorganized area. I see unorganized territory being referred to by the main SJC.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm just
unorganized territory of a county. So maybe
it's territory of a county. Okay, so perhaps that, yeah.
Because we don't want to, because you're talking about counties, right? Roberta, that this is going to be counties, not the towns or the townships.
Well, I'm trying to think, there may be something in Maine Municipal Manual.
I wish I had that, but they don't like to share that.
Years ago, they shared a big chunk of it with one of the legislative committees. So I have hung on to it for that reason. Let's see, where am I here? But my brain is just mush this morning.
Oh, you think
this afternoon.
I mean, you could always say, unorganized or unincorporated place. You could add that in, just say unorganized or unincorporated. Counties. I don't, or areas in the county.
It's,
Because I got unorganized territories of south of Aroostook County. Do you know what I mean? So I guess the question then becomes, is Aroostook County under the county organized? And is it just the townships that are unorganized? Because if all the counties are organized and you're reapplying it to the county for them to do it, do we need to say unorganized? Because the county would be organized. It would just be the towns that are not. I guess that's more of the, right, the delineation.
yeah, I think we all know we need to know. I think we all, what is this? Sorry, I'm
So
getting.
I think,
Okay, here's something from the Maine Municipal Manual. Some townways came into existence by operation of state law. County ways were transformed into townways and effectively took the counties out of the road business in organized areas. This transformation of county roads into townways only applies to those county roads which had not been abandoned or discontinued before July 29th, 1976.
Yeah, actually, so I just this is awful, but this is AI, right? It says in Maine, counties generally do not control, maintain, or manage roads in organized towns, so we know that. We know towns do that. It says, however, county commissioners have specific road responsibilities in the unorganized or unincorporated areas of their county.
Mhm.
All right, so there are no count, okay.
Actually, if we just go up to the part above where I added in that underlined section, power of commissioners, layout, maintenance, and discontinuance of roads in unorganized areas. County commissioners may lay out, alter, close for maintenance, or discontinue highways within the unorganized areas of their counties and grade hills in such a highway. So
I think we have to say
like,
unorganized or unincorporated.
it looks like unorganized areas is the term that they use.
Let's see. Hold on.
I don't, yeah, and I think, why don't we do this for the definition? Why don't I do the law library for the legislature? They should be able to pull up if there's a definition, and then we can go from there. Because I've got different definitions depending on what time it was. So, but I get a lot of unorganized territory or unincorporated or unorganized incorporated, because I think that's the townships then.
Yeah.
I think we're in 23 MRS section 2051, power of commissioners.
Yeah, but I think what Amanda's looking for is the definition of what is the definition of unorganized? Like, how do you refine it as the territory of the county? So that way, when you write the law, which hopefully the legislature would correct if we were wrong anyway, because it goes through their vetting process, that is the correct terminology so that if it includes also unincorporated areas within the county, and that needs to be included in the definition, that it applies as it needs to apply and we don't leave anybody out. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that if that's the term that they're using in the rest of this statute, that to be consistent, it would be the same term.
I know, but we just want to be sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they haven't been wrong before, Roberta.
Mm.
Right?
Right, and I just don't have the bandwidth for it, guys. So yeah, let's.
So let me. So I'm just going to put in a referral. They're very helpful. They always get back to me within a day.
Yeah.
So, and maybe while we're still on here, they'll get back to me. But I'm filling out the form now because they usually get back to me pretty quick within a day or two.
Yeah, it's not certainly not a.
Let me
Okay.
just do that, and then I think that's great because that just helps us.
Make sure we didn't somehow miss something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still screen sharing this.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
So then the other half of the problem is that 3028A was a big improvement over the former section 3028. Most notably, it provided some due process and it excluded ATVs from use of resulting public easements. However, there are a number of problems when it comes to the practicality of application, particularly with regard to time limits. Also, it gave county commissioners the power to abandon town ways. That's what we're just looking at in the other thing. Furthermore, it allowed municipal officers to discontinue the public easement over an abandoned road without considering whether doing so would deprive any property of access. So I went through the abandonment and I took out the county or its officials everywhere that came into it, because that will be covered by that other section.
Mhm.
And then where there were time limits and things like that, I changed those. Let's see, section 1C, isolated acts of maintenance by the municipality. There hasn't been any definition of what is an isolated act of maintenance. And if you look at the court cases where there's been a dispute over whether a road qualified for abandonment or not, there are some that say, oh yeah, they fixed a culvert once. That's an isolated act of maintenance. And then there'll be other places where a town claims, oh yeah, it was only isolated acts of maintenance when we fixed the culvert and we cleaned the ditches and we graded it once a year, and they've got this whole list of things that they did to it. And at some point it becomes, are those really isolated acts of maintenance, or is that just what you would do on a gravel road anyway?
So are we shifting gears from talking about giving the county commissioners back their authority to abandon roads into the question of whether or not they should even be abandoning roads? I just want to make sure I'm following the thread.
No, I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
Save that for later. This is just kind of trying to tweak the abandonment statute.
I'm going to tell you right now, MMA is not going to stand for that letter C that you added. There's no way. They're
not going to stand for which? The isolated acts of maintenance?
I bet you money, girl. Yeah, I don't think so. They might. I could be surprised, but I can hear them right now saying, nah, it's too hard to track. How are we gonna know? How are we gonna prove it? I'm even thinking about my towns trying to track that or prove it. I'm just throwing it out there, devil's advocate, you know?
Okay.
Just flagging it. I'm not saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely like you ask towns, what have you done? And either there's been 8 million different people and dead, gone, moved, don't remember, files burned. It's but I mean, we can no more than 3 acts of maintenance at the 30 year. And we can keep it in there and let generate some conversation, absolutely. But
yeah, I would think what would happen would be the person who is challenging the validity of the abandonment would have to come up with proof that they've done more than 3 acts.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, leave it in there and we'll see, have the bigger discussion and get some other perspectives, and because it's a fair point in terms of when do we go from isolated to routine, so.
Okay. Of course, it might be interesting to note that when they first came up with the abandonment statute in 1976, I've got a copy of the legislative discussion when it was on the floor.
Mhm.
And one of the things that it says, somebody asked, well, what if they go in once and do some maintenance? And the response was, no, absolutely not. This is supposed to apply only where there has been no maintenance whatever done for the whole 30-year period. That lasted a few years, and then they amended it to say that isolated acts of maintenance don't count.
Interesting. I wonder what prompted that, I wonder what the legislative history is there, which I'm sure Jim knows.
I don't know if I might have the
And I mean,
on that.
to some, just kind of doesn't matter in a way, we're here now, but that is interesting.
So
Okay.
that's something I should send to you people, is the my whole well, I've got the legislative discussion on it, and I've also got a document where I found each of the versions of section 3028 and what changed and when.
Oh, cool.
I can send you that. Okay, let's see. Then again, there are more changes here, just taking out the county commissioners. Okay, here's the thing about public easements. The way it is now it says, the municipal officers vote to declare a townway discontinued by abandonment at a regularly scheduled meeting of the municipal officers. If the municipal officers vote to declare a townway discontinued by abandonment, they must also vote on whether a public easement is retained. And it doesn't give them any guidelines as to how to decide that. The discontinuance law now says that they have to keep a public easement if otherwise somebody would be landlocked, which makes a lot of sense.
Of course, yeah.
The abandonment statute doesn't say that. So I think that needs to be in there, that a public easement must be retained if the townway provides the sole access to any property.
I'm just trying to think what somebody might say, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why that. That's really interesting.
Because if you deny somebody all
Right, of
access
course,
to
yeah,
property, then you have
right.
to compensate them for loss of access.
Right,
And
right.
the whole point of abandoning a road is so that you don't have to pay anybody any compensation.
Well, definitely let's have that in there and generate some discussion around that as well.
Okay.
I don't pretend to have all the, I've tried to come to this with an open problem solving approach. I'm not, I don't have a particular position to defend, you could say.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you could say that I do have a position to defend, but part of my point in doing this is to get all the various interests included.
yeah,
Because if we do it just from one point of view, there's going to be an objection to it.
understood, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just sometimes I think as we go through this process, the whole process, I think we'll find times when, we've got certain viewpoints that just will never come around, but we'll just nibble away at the edges and, make what we can for movement and to just keep at it,
Yeah, the irresistible force meets the immovable object. Yeah, we've been up against that for years.
Yeah.
Okay, another one of our objections here is that they had said that let's see, it's a municipality received funds for any portion of the townway that is the subject of the discontinuance by abandonment for more than 84 months of the period of 30 or more consecutive years. That's a long time.
How many I don't do math. How many 12 can go into 84? 12 times 7.
See,
70.
5 12s is 60, 6 12s is 72, 7 12s is 84. So 7 years.
All right. Interesting. And you want to go with, okay, so let's see, it says receive funds for more than.
If I thought there was any chance of getting it to pass, I would say go back to what it was originally. No maintenance.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, we put the 36 in there and let's let's see how that goes too, right? I mean, I don't.
Okay, or another way to say it would be if the municipality received funds within the 27 years next prior to the claim of abandonment. For
Let's
example,
see.
if they applied for and received a FEMA grant within the previous few years.
Right, let's see.
I know has actually happened on one road.
Let's see, subject by unit for more than of the period, but I mean, I think we could say it either way. We could maybe just leave it how it is, the change in black, just to keep it as close as possible so you don't fry people's brains. Right?
So anyway, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Then the public hearing, as it is now, it says that municipal officers shall hold a public hearing prior to voting to declare a townway discontinued by abandonment under subsection 2 upon receipt of written requests signed by at least 25% of affected property owners. Well, you take a road like the one that we're on, we have a couple of dozen property owners, some of whom live out of state.
Yeah.
Some of them are woodlots and they don't care what happens to the road. And this would be different now than it was years ago. Years ago, we were the only residents on the road. and nobody else cared what happened to the road.
Yeah.
So in order to get 25% of them, we would have had to get several people to agree with us.
Mm.
And trying to locate them, get them to pay attention to us from out of state, try to explain to them what the situation is, and do all of that within 10 days after the notification.
Yeah.
There's just no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
my suggestion is to reduce it to 10% of the affected property owners, which is still going to be a difficult task for a lot of people,
Mhm.
and then give them 30 days, not 10.
Let's try it. I don't have a strong qualm with that, you know?
Okay. And then, let's see, the public hearing must be scheduled no less than 30 days and no more than 60 days after the receipt of the request.
That could be. That one I'm thinking as my town attorney now, what my towns have going on in their lives. I'm gonna push back a little on that, just as a practicality. And I'm sure it seems ridiculous, but there are just times and circumstances and times of year where those might be a nightmare to try to handle.
You
And
see what you're saying, like if they're coming up to town meeting or something like
right, or if it's summer and half the staff, I can absolutely just see where that could cause just undue significant turmoil, potentially cause the town to have to set aside other more urgent things. And so I'd absolutely like some much, much more generous timelines there for sure.
Right, well, if we're gonna ask for more generous timelines, it makes sense to grant them more generous timelines. That's fair.
Yeah, just as a practical matter.
I just thought there should be some limit. If you want to change what the limit is, that's fine, but there needs to be something that says when they have to do something. You don't want it to be too close so that the people haven't had time to prepare for it.
Yeah, let me just see the public hearing. Yeah, because you even need time for your lawyer to do, yeah, we definitely.
I do know of one case where a town wanted to abandon a road, and they gave the people on the road 30 days to do their research.
Yeah.
And then they, at the end of the 30 days, they said, can we have another 30 days? And they granted them another 30 days. And on the 30th day, they got word from the DOT because they didn't know how to get in touch with them, but they'd gotten in touch with me. And I thought the thing to do is to go to the DOT and ask if there was any LRAP funding spent on the road, and found out that there was.
Mm-hmm.
But they came in with it so late that the town said, sorry, we're not accepting any more evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you know where to go to find these things, it can take a good bit of time to
Oh,
figure
sure.
this out.
Yeah, let's see.
No,
Let's
there's a reason you can't make ex post facto laws either.
the written request. Well, Roberta, let's think about that. I don't have a number, I don't have a number to say, oh, it should be this number and that number. I just know those numbers are so tight so tight that they're gonna be they're too tight for us.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to make them bigger. I just
Yeah,
you picked a number just so there's some limit on it.
yeah,
So you can't just put it off indefinitely, or they
yeah.
can't rush it through before people have had time to do their research.
Sure, yeah, both of those things, yeah. So and right now I can promise you my brain's not gonna think about that sentence anytime soon, but if you want to think about it, having heard my feedback and concerns, I'd welcome that. Think about what you could offer us for a more generous timeline. Um,
Okay. Let's see. Just switch myself to another screen here and lost where I was.
let's see, do you wanna go to your doc, where are you?
For some reason, yeah, I'm gonna stop screen sharing for a second and see if I can just get this to go back to where it should be. Okay, now go up to share screen. And where's my document gone? That's the wrong one. Okay,
Do you want me to share the document?
yeah, if you've got the document up,
Yeah, let's see.
same one we were just on.
Should be, because that's the only, let's see, share. Maybe, unless I'm telling you fibs, hang on.
If not, I can find it again.
Can you see it okay?
It's that one.
I think this is what we were looking at, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, that looks like.
Yeah, right there, because we were just talking about this sentence. You see it all right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, do you want me to scroll a bit?
Okay,
All right, so 5, go ahead and talk to me.
going down, I think we already covered that part.
Okay, if and only, so yeah, we kind of talked about that up above, and then looks like you took out some terms that we wouldn't need, reference to county, that's good. Okay, appeal, let's look at this appeal section.
Okay, here we go. Oh yeah,
Oh,
this is one that I've seen this happen.
okay,
The way it's worded now, you can file your appeal with the municipal clerk for an appeal of a vote by the municipal officers in a municipality with the Board of Appeals authorized to hear the appeal. Well, what happened in this case was the person wanted to appeal the decision on abandonment, and the town's attorney told him, yes, you have to file that with the municipal clerk. So he did.
and
And when the time limit had expired, the town attorney came back and said, oh, I made a mistake. The municipal board is not authorized to hear these appeals. You need to appeal it to the county commissioners. So he appealed to the county commissioners with a copy of the appeal
email.
he'd already filed with the town clerk, saying, I tried filing it with the town clerk. This is what the attorney told me to do. And now I find out I have to apply to you instead. They said, sorry, it's beyond the deadline. You can't appeal.
Right, because deadlines are jurisdictional, so I can see where that would have happened, unfortunately, is some, I mean, it shouldn't have happened, an attorney should have figured it out, but, let's see, is determined. I wonder though, I think what we're gonna have to do is, okay, is just connect this authority to essentially override or extend a deadline into wherever else it is in the statute that it talks about the county commissioner. You see what I'm saying, right? So that kind of brings us a little bit back to where we were earlier, where we were kind of going through the statutes and trying to find their authority and stuff. And where did we end up?
I always wonder if there's some way to say that the fact that they filed with the clerk preserves their timely filing.
I think yes, yes, but I always like to bootstrap, belt and suspenders, tie things together. So if an attorney just goes and reads one part of the statute, which they shouldn't do, like in that case that you just gave the example of, what if the attorney, you know what I'm saying? If they don't read down and see that new sentence, it could get missed. So
if you want an example of belt and suspenders, David, do you want to come over here?
What?
oh my God, is he wearing a belt and suspenders? Is that what's? Oh, now that's somebody's looking
Yeah,
good.
wearing all my
Suspenders in
green.
the belt.
I've got my suspended. Yeah, look at that. I have to show you my suspenders this way.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for that. If you want an example of somebody who's fancy on top and wearing sweatpants on the bottom, it's me.
Hey, remember, this is being broadcast on YouTube.
Hey, yeah, I don't care. I'm a very honest individual.
Yeah.
Hey, they're black sweatpants. They're nice. Like, come on, you're lucky I'm not wearing my dirty dog walking shirt with smelly armpits. So so we just want to make a little note that says belt and suspenders and think about whether there's anywhere else in the statute, assuming we don't get, push back and say, no, we're not. Well, we would want to just find where am I? Let's see, find where. status. Anyway, you get what I'm talking about, but
Yep.
just checking. Sorry, people. I'm kind of keeping an eye on my phone just because I never know when I'm gonna get calls to give me some updates and things. But anyway, so let's do 30. Let me just see. 30. That's not, I don't want that. Damages appeal. Well, we know we want to make sure we've got that nice and tight. If everybody supports us going forward with it, we'll just make sure we have it nice and tight and clean. Okay, cool. So let's scroll down. Let's see. All right. All right, so what have you done here still? You've crossed out, yeah, same. The
Yeah, that's because of
right.
county part out.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And
All
then
right, and then,
no town way shall be claimed to have been abandoned under the former section 3028 unless the 30-year period of non-maintenance was completed before October 1st, 2021. Okay, the reason I stuck this in is because the way things stand now, there is a definite procedure that the town has to go through in order to abandon the road. They have to notify the property owners. That didn't used to be a requirement. But people have said over the years, you know, the attorneys have argued that abandonment is something that just sort of happens automatically. It doesn't require any action by the town.
right.
So what's to stop a town from skipping that whole due process part by saying, oh, well, it was already abandoned before the law changed?
Right. Yep.
So if they can prove that there were 30 years when it wasn't maintained before the law changed, should that be allowed to be an abandonment without any due process? Or should they still have to, you know, because they're only claiming it now, should they have to go through the due process?
I guess I would need to think about that. I don't.
I say give that some thought.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the last one, I think it's the last one. I don't know, maybe it isn't. Let's see, common law abandonment. Yeah, this one, my husband will go through the roof because
Yeah, you bet I will.
Hey now, keep your belt and suspenders on there, mister.
yeah, according to the US Constitution, we're not supposed to have common law anymore.
I thought you were gonna say we're not supposed to have belt and suspenders, and I might have.
Let's see, this section does not alter the ability of a townway to be abandoned under the common law presumption of abandonment. Well, the other thing that attorneys will say is that in order for a common law abandonment to stick, it has to have gone through a court to have it declared common law abandonment.
Right.
I think the reason for that is that under common law, they say that there is no easement retained. So you really have to look at the evidence. You can't just say, oh, we're claiming this is abandoned by common law. Because if there are properties that have no other access, and those property owners have been using that road for years, this is where we get into another whole toggle of semantics or whatever.
Yeah.
Who constitutes public use of a road?
Right.
And I think where this gets confusing is when you're looking at the establishment of a public easement by prescription. This is the opposite situation. In order to establish a public easement by prescription, the use has to have been by people who are inseparable from the public as a whole, which means landowners don't count.
Right.
And it means recreational use doesn't count. But the difference is that you can have the landowners establish a private easement by prescription. You just can't have them establish a public easement by prescription. When you give up a road by common law abandonment, if such a thing exists, and it extinguishes the easement entirely, if the landowners have been using that as their only access for years, why should they suddenly be excluded because they're not the public?
Right,
They should at least have a private easement retained.
right. Let's see.
And a good example of that would be, suppose you have a townway that is a dead end and provides the sole access to a dozen houses. And those dozen houses have been using that road for their only access to their property for years, years and years and years, 30, 40, 50 years.
Mhm.
And not really asking the town to maintain it because, well, we can keep it up. We don't need a whole lot of help from the town. We can just maintain this ourselves.
Mhm.
So the public hasn't been using the road, hasn't been maintaining the road. It's just been used by these abutters. And all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, well, the public hasn't used this for 20 years. It's not a road anymore.
Right,
And all of a
Right.
sudden, none of those people have access to their homes. That
right,
doesn't make
right.
sense.
Yep. Let's see, so let me just read this language again. Or for property. Yeah, so we might need to just tighten things up a little bit, like where it says, so through court action to determine that the road has been not used by the public or for property access. When I see or for property access, I think by I want to clarify who we're talking about there. Yeah, we'll have to clean it and tighten it a little bit.
Mhm.
Then use as the sole access to property during. Yeah, I get what you're saying and I like what you've done. I think that it needs like a little bit of wordsmithing to make sure we pull out ambiguities, but
I'm all in favor of getting rid of ambiguities.
but I get what you're saying, and I think before we burn up a lot of brain juice on making it perfect, it'd be the kind of thing where like let's run it up the flagpole to the larger group, see what kind of kickback we get, that kind of thing, Does that make sense?
Yep, we have kind of a family joke that when you have worked on coming up with legislation and you've put tons of thought into it, you've looked at all the angles, you wordsmithed it, you tried to get every ambiguity out of it, make sure that it says exactly what it needs to say, no
Mhm.
more, no less.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets sent to the reviser of statutes.
And comes back chopped up.
And their job is to revise it.
Mm-hmm.
Their job. They have to make it say something else.
Right. So yeah. And I'm obviously taking a little bit more of a hands-off approach right now just because I have limited attention, etc., due to the health challenges. So
Yep.
But that's okay. That's okay. So we don't have to be perfect every day. So all right, let's see. So that's let's see, took out some words we didn't need. Gave us some information. Okay, was there anything? Question. Yeah, um, was there, yeah. What do you think? Do you think we kind of start here with what we've got and bounce it up against the bigger group?
Yeah, I think put some thought into it. Let's see what Tom's thoughts are on it.
Right.
Their
Yeah,
county
cool.
commissioner.
Yeah.
Do we want to have one more meeting and hopefully get him in on it too, after we put some thought into it? Before we go to the full commission?
Or if either that or I don't know how unless he just wants to read through it, I mean, and offer feedback or watch, I don't know, whatever is gonna work for him, I guess, right? Whatever he wants, really.
Yeah, the issue that we run into here is the requirement to have all the meetings be public.
No.
And I find that frustrating because there are times when you want to just bounce things back and forth by email, and we're apparently not supposed to do that.
Right.
Not that I want to keep anything from the public.
No, I know, but we also want to get things done but trust me, I hear you. Well, I guess Heather could check in with him on maybe he just wants to read through it and go, yeah, looks good, or
I
whatever.
mean, I can send him this and briefly type up the notes of what we discussed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he
You
can
know.
just say, yeah, let's run it up to the group, run it up to the group.
Yeah, I mean, after he looks at it, he can tell us what his thoughts are, and then we got to share it with the group anyway, because we can't present anything to the legislature without the whole group voting. So,
Oh, right, of course. No. We wouldn't. Right, no, we want to get the right, of course. Yeah. Um, well, Roberta, what's the other? I think the other group, and I know I'm shifting gears, but I'm doing it anyway. So the other group that you and I, it's the one where we talk about pulling apart the process, putting the
so it's for the items 8 and 12.
yeah,
So it's to separate easements, discontinuance, and an easement template.
Ah, yes, that's right.
and
So it's in the discontinuance law where,
yeah,
currently there's a law that says that it's for the discontinuance of townways and public easements. And then it goes into a great deal of detail about how to discontinue a townway. It doesn't say a whole lot more about how to discontinue a public easement. And
right.
because it's saying that you have to have a process for deciding whether or not to retain the public easement, it makes the discontinuance law so complicated that
Yeah.
a lot of towns have just sort of thrown their hands in the air and said, forget it, we're not going to do it. And towns end up just sort of leaving roads in limbo.
Mm-hmm.
They don't discontinue it, they don't abandon it, they just sort of don't do anything until it dies, which is not the way to do things.
Yeah.
So I think if we split the statute into two separate statutes, one for discontinuing a townway,
Yes.
saying that when you discontinue a townway, it has to retain a public easement if anybody would be landlocked.
Yeah.
And then have a separate process by which you can say, okay, now we've got this public easement, what do we want to do with it?
Yeah. And I'm fully on board with that. But also I had that thing in China where
Can't public easement without public maintenance, Maine Supreme Court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Issue's closed. Don't argue it.
Okay, I'm not. Let me think. I'm tired. Please. I love you, but I love you so
We're tired too, we can relate.
Oh, we're struggling here. If the sun would shine, that would help. Right. So I'd like there to be a process where, let's see, so we had this loop of a road that nobody needed to get anywhere. It was just a cut through. There was just one property that used it, just one, and they were on this, they're in this corner. Like here are my hands are these main drag roads, and their little parcel is right here.
Yeah.
And then the lake is here, and people would just zip through. So anyway, we had the situation where it impacted one person.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a world where we can go fast with something like that. Like nobody cares, where nobody needs it anymore, where literally nobody needs it for anything.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be this long drawn out crazy process.
Yep, that's in there too, is if you
Okay.
don't leave anybody landlocked,
Okay.
you don't have to go through that whole process. You can just
Okay.
gone.
Okay.
I do
So-
know situations where that has happened.
Okay.
There's also been one situation where somebody did successfully get a town to discontinue the public easement in the middle of a road. And if I can use the there's
Yeah,
the road all the way through, and there's a guy who owns a piece of land in the middle of it, and people are coming zoom through from one side to the other. Well, the people on this end need access. The people on this end need access, but there's no real reason to have to go from here through this other guy's property to get there. So there's nothing to discontinue the public easement on his piece and still keep it as being a town road on both ends.
Oh yeah.
And part of the reason it worked is because there was a snowmobile trail that went through there, and you think there'd be a big objection to getting rid of the public easement where the snowmobile trail had to go. But he happened to be the president of the snowmobile club. And he rerouted the trail to go around the edge of his property instead of right in front of his house.
There you go.
But he was fine with that.
Perfect. Ah, So, is our next, so the next thing I have on my calendar is for 2 Mondays from now. Which group is that?
For 2 Mondays from now.
Yeah, the 27th. Let's see. Where's my?
Hold on just a second. Let me
It's
just look at Zoom because it will tell me
It's
faster.
okay. I have it in my sub thing.
I think that's, oh, I don't have, okay, I did not label it. That's me,
Get my calendar. Hang on a second.
Let's see.
April.
So I got too much stuff.
27th
Yeah.
is,
27th. Public easements.
Okay. Let me stop screen. Sorry, I'm gonna. Was I? Okay.
yeah, subcommittee 3. So that's public easements, problems and solutions.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one where there was a list of 6 questions and we didn't really go over them last time. That kind of got missed.
Okay.
I think we had so much to discuss to bring people up to
Yeah,
speed.
that's right. That's what it was. People we had to do. That's what it was. That's right. Yeah.
And that's the one that says where there is a public easement, should the public have to declare what the purpose of the public easement is and provide enough maintenance to support that use.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you think, guys? What should we do? Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we can totally wrap up the meeting if you guys have discussed everything.
Unless you want to take a look at that thing that I worked on this morning about why
Oh,
it is
I don't,
unconstitutional.
I don't, Roberta, I don't right now, honey. Because let's first get, because people aren't gonna be ready to hear that from us yet.
Well, how about if I,
But no, I'm not people.
how about if I send it out to let you have a look at it anyway?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not people either, dude, trust me.
Yeah, right. No, just a chuckle I have of this. You know, in your case, like you're new here.
I am.
Waiting 55 years for the
Oh,
same.
I know, babe,
And
I know.
then they formed you guys 5 years ago, and no answer still.
Well,
State Supreme Court told you can't have these roads in the first place. And
all right, Roberta, go ahead and get that to me. I'm gonna wrap it up so I can try to check in on my clients. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the input and help. And I'm gonna jump off.
No, thank you.
Thank you, guys.